right, I am trying to give myself more creative license when it comes to what it is that I feel like I want to create and share and do. And for so long, I have really attached my identity to how much I can solve people's problems, how much I can pinpoint fears that you experience in your creative process. Don't get me wrong, I love that shit. I could talk about it for hours, but I'm also wanting to create space where I just get to be me. Because if there is one thing that I feel like I have the least experience in, it is that. So I've got my little journal. First of all, how cute is she? Very cute. And I've written down a list of questions that I thought I would run through with you as like a little get to know me. And this is weirdly a more uncomfortable type of content. Well, not uncomfortable, it's just new and different. Where I feel like I'm centering myself, which is something that I often don't feel comfortable or confident doing, because in the back of my head I hear this voice saying, but who cares who you are unless you can solve something for someone. So this is me showing myself by building the evidence and building my capacity to do scary things and showing myself that's a load of shit. So first question is, what makes you laugh? Now this actually, I fucking left this blank because I don't know. My first thought is the amount of hilariously witty and just insanely clever comments in a TikTok section. Sometimes they are even better than the video. Actually, 9 times out of 10, they are funnier than the video. Like, there is some real underrated talent in comment sections. I'm trying to think of one that I saw recently, but now I can't think of any. I do really like those videos where that guy asks other men, do you think you look straight or gay? Do you think someone else would think you were gay? Does this guy look straight or gay? And they're all like, this guy looks gay, but I'm definitely straight. And then the next person's like, this guy's gay. That's hilarious. I really like that one. Otherwise, it's just like, I don't know, stupid shit. What else makes me laugh? No one makes me belly laugh quite like my fiance putting on his Somerset camp accent. Honestly, if you've not got to witness that before, you are missing out, because he can say the most mundane thing in that accent and it just makes everything insanely more funny. Okay, number 2, what do you think is beautiful? At the minute, my Instagram algorithm is full of like whimsical cake making. I'm absolutely obsessed with that. And I'm thinking, yeah, every time, I've never really been a big birthday cake person. I'm not really a big cake person. Like, I like banana bread, carrot cake, but every birthday I never really do cake. But that might just be more trauma related to my birthday, considering it's the same day that my mum died. So, you know, ever since my 21st birthday, that's all kind of changed. But some of these cakes are literally my inner child dream. I just think to have that creative capacity to make such a cute cake is top tier. What else have I put? Oh my god, I saw someone making this giant bead necklace out of, you know, those swimming pool noodles, whatever they're called, like just a giant thing, and then he hung it up in his studio, and I just thought it was fucking, basically anything that looks like something that I would have wanted, worn, or begged my parents to buy me for Christmas or for my birthday as an adult is things that I'm obsessed with and I think are beautiful. Okay, number 3. What are you obsessed with right now? I have so many saved videos on my Instagram in particular of people doing really cool things with like safety pins in terms of clothing and style. Safety pins, ties, the amount of things, like different outfits you can create with your ties, mind blowing. Headscarves, I'm really getting into my headscarf collection. I've only got like 3, but I am planning on building that collection. But just like amazing things that you can like completely revolutionize just a boring existing outfit that you've already worn into something completely new. I'm just like, that's amazing. And then I save them all, and I've probably only done about 3 of them. Anyway, next question. Number 4, what are you proud of? I am proud that I have been unwilling to compromise on my principles and my values and my ethics in building my business. And that has meant I've kind of had to sacrifice it taking slightly longer. I feel like I've had a lot of slow growth over, you know, I've been building this for the last decade pretty much, and figuring things out, and then kind of going down paths, and then quickly realizing, I don't like this, I don't like how this is being done, I don't like what I'm being forced to potentially conform into, because that's what everyone else does and that's how success is made. Like rage baiting, clickbaity content, just really shitty unethical practices that you find in all industries, but particularly in the online space. And it would have been so much easier had I potentially followed down some of those routes and compromised on things that I value and believe in. But would I have ultimately been happy? No. Would I have been comfortable looking myself in the mirror, surrounded by the success I built? Absolutely not. So I do think that is one of the things I'm most proud of. And I have to remind myself when I think, why is this taking so long? I've been doing this for years, and there are people that have been doing it for less time and more successful, in quotation marks, than me. I don't give a shit. Well, I do, because I'm human, but I always remind myself I'm doing this in an intentional way, and I'm building something that lasts. And I think that is my Saturn in 10th house. Number 5. What do you want more of? What do you want more of? I really want to learn, I don't know if this is the right question or answer to this question. I really want to know how to sew. I want to be able to like alter my clothes. I don't think I want to make clothes. My mum used to be really good, I think back in the 70s, 80s. And she kept a lot of her sewing books, which I wish I'd kept some of as like keepsakes. But when you're going through grief in your early 20s, my sister was, 16, 17, you just don't think about this shit. But it's really frustrating. There are so many things that I wish I'd kept of my mum's, which I just didn't have the mental capacity to realise would be important now. Anyway, she used to make a lot of her clothes. I don't think I have the patience for that, but I would like to be able to alter things. A lot of my wardrobe is from the charity shop. It's bought secondhand. I love something that has been worn before and that it's got history, and I feel like it's more sustainable that way, all those kind of things. But I see all of these incredible people like altering their clothes with a sewing machine, and I just think that would be amazing. But I literally have an entire box full of crafts and picky bits that I love to do that I literally get hyperfixated on, and then a week later I am bored. So I just know that if I bought a sewing machine, I still have to go through the whole thing of like learning how to even fucking work that machine. I just don't know if I would do it. But one day I would really like to learn how to sew. Next one. What could you talk about for hours? Other than like what I naturally talk about. So where I feel like we're seeing this demise of creativity, we're seeing a performance of creativity. I feel like we're at a threshold as creatives, healers, artists, makers of beautiful things, where we are being asked to create in a much more deeply human, authentic, honest, truly different, like creatively rebellious things. But it's going to take us and require us to confront some of our deepest, longest held beliefs and fears around being seen, being chosen, doing things out of the norm, being seen as different. So I could talk about that for fucking hours, and I actually do. I do that for a living. The other thing I could talk about for hours, trad wives. I have this theory that trad wife culture that we see like on the rise now is a direct result of burnout and women going and doing so much unwritten emotional labor, as well as being told to climb the corporate ladder, as well as being told that they have to be the perfect partner. I think the stress of that, which a lot of women will understand, can sometimes be so intense that there must be such a feeling of relief that they feel, I would assume, in being able to just hand off a lot of the stress and the burden of how deeply interlinked being a human with getting life right has become in our society. Like I was even speaking about like something completely unrelated, but like going to your high school reunions, I feel like that is such a dick swinging contest when we don't even realize it, because everyone in that room is sizing up, measuring themselves against each other. And I think that is a reflection of how deeply insecure humanity is, and how skewed our perception and our inability to live well and enjoy being alive as ourselves shows, instead of this whole idea that life is about getting it right, it's about developing and acquiring value so that then we feel more valuable, and it's a way of like filling this deep hole. As you can see, I can speak about that for hours. The other thing I can speak about is how, one last one, Christianity, again, I have this theory that Christianity and deeply Christian, you know, there's quite extremist views, are, like, for example, I watched the One New Ager versus 20 Christians on YouTube the other week. Phenomenal watch if you haven't watched it yet. The New Ager, she's not really a New Ager, she calls herself a spiritualist, Jasmine. I've followed her stuff, her content for a couple of years, and she held herself so well, but it was the one thing that I took away from that is how deeply insecure we are as humans of being alive, and how uncomfortable our own fears of the unknown. So much of what we do, what we don't do, our behaviors are linked to our deep unrest and our deep fear of the unknown. And I think when I watched that video, that is all that I could see, was this arguing for, don't come for the level of certainty that I have, because I can't let you destroy that, and I can't actually question it internally, because so much of my safety I have outsourced to being correct and being right and knowing the path, and that makes me feel safe in navigating life as a human being. Those are just a few of the topics I could speak about for hours and hours. Next one, what kind of life are you trying to build? I feel like this year, and particularly this eclipse season, has made me so aware of all the moments where I'm like still trying to perform for approval, where I'm still playing into this game of like outsourcing my permission to do things and create things on having more money, more success, more public recognition, and like I know how much of a slippery slope that is. And so right now my biggest aim is to build a life where I actually deeply enjoy being alive, and I view every present moment within reason, because I'm not always going to get that fucking right, and also but that's part of being present. But I view every single present moment as the most important experience. Like, there is no, life isn't this thing to solve, it's not this constant problem that needs solving like mentally, and that we've got to conquer life before it conquers us. Sorry, my phone died. What was I saying? Yeah, so I have grown up with that belief that like if I don't conquer life first, life is going to conquer me. And so everything that I have experienced has always been around, this is a problem that I need to fix, I need to become the right person, I need to make sure that I'm not punished by life for making the wrong decision, or for being lazy, or not trying hard enough, or not healing this thing, or getting rid of this thing. And like that's why I talk a lot about what I talk about. And I really feel like I am being pushed into this kind of space where I actually can't fathom continuing to subscribe to any level of that rhetoric, because it just makes you paranoid. It makes you unhappy. I think it, regardless of how much money, success, public recognition, whatever it is that you kind of desire at the same time, I think it would all be fucking meaningless and nowhere near as deeply fulfilling if you're constantly living through this lens of, right, what's the next problem to solve? What's the next way how do I continue to do this? How do I make sure life continues to like be within my control? Like, it's just a slippery slope. So to shorten that question, that answer, I'm trying to build a life where I enjoy being myself and I enjoy being alive. Next one. What is something people might be surprised to know about you? This one always shocks people, and sometimes it still shocks me, but I really enjoy watching UFC, which really goes against a lot of the things I feel like people would expect from me, but what could I say? I'm human. I don't like to be predictable. I don't know what it is, because, and I say enjoy in quotation marks because I still have to close my eyes where it gets a bit too much. But I think it's something about resilience, grit, determination, the amount of mental strength and agility you have to have in that kind of space. I don't know, I feel like it speaks to like the warrior within me, where I feel like, I don't know, no, I don't want to deep it that much, but there is something that I don't know, I just enjoy experiencing and seeing through another lens, like seeing someone work insanely, incredibly hard for something and then getting into the ring and kind of putting it all out there, and very often it's the person that wins is kind of the most mentally strong, agile, has been able to keep their cool in such a pressurized situation where like fear and everything and like survival was kind of kicking in. I don't know, but that always surprises people, so that was the one I immediately said. What little routines bring you peace? During COVID, I started to go on these daily walks, and I basically haven't stopped, to the point where I actually don't know how I functioned before that without going on daily walks. I'm kind of like a dog. I need to be walked every day, multiple times a day if possible. I also know that I process a lot of my emotions through movement, so walking for me is just like the best therapy session ever, and I can't explain it. So it's definitely my daily walks. Number 10, what memory always makes you feel warm inside? This memory makes me feel warm inside, but it also makes me laugh my fucking head off. The first Christmas after my mum died, my stepdad took us to New York for Christmas to kind of break routine, you know, I think help us handle the grief of experiencing our first Christmas without her, because she died in October, so it'd only been like 2 months. A lot of this trip is a complete blur, apart from me and my sister turned almost psychotic during this Christmas period. And I remember us literally having laughing fits in this bathroom about the most ridiculously unfunny shit. Like, I think at one point we probably laughed for about half an hour about one of my necklaces that looked like cigarettes, or like, no, matchsticks. Funniest fucking thing in the world. It was always also the same time where like Snapchat, I think, or even maybe Instagram, had these filters, like, you know, like face morphing filters. I know they still have them, but they'd first come out then, and I'm pretty sure, and they had the voice changing things, and we were just like locked up in this, I don't know why we're even in the fucking bathroom, but we'd film these videos, and we were honestly hysterical. My poor dad was like probably like, well, at least if they're not crying, you know, if they're laughing, they're not crying. We were just on another fucking level, but it makes me smile every time, because I'm just like, for those of you who've been through deep grief, you just know, actually, sometimes the most therapeutic thing in those moments is to just laugh at the most ridiculous things. And it was made 10 times better by just getting to share that experience with my sister. So that is definitely something that always puts a smile on my face. Although we fell out big time in that trip as well, right at the beginning, because she made us sit on the top deck of an open deck, you know, those tourist buses, in the middle of Christmas, the middle of fucking winter. I have never been so cold, as in I was cold down to my bones, and I literally didn't forgive her for the rest of the trip. Number 11, what is the nicest compliment you've received in the last month? Oh, I feel like it's getting a bit dark. The nicest compliment I've received is probably comments from you guys on my videos, just being like, some of them make me laugh. It's like, yeah, can you stop recording my therapy sessions? Can you please get out of my head? Like, are you stalking me? No, not you stalking me, but it's like, are you in my like life right now? just because as someone, I always had massive insecurity up until last year of sharing my thoughts and sharing the inner workings of my mind and how I view fear and creativity and all these kind of things, and feeling like no one would understand me, or it would be too much, it would be too whatever, too different. And so every time I have someone comment on a video being like, this literally feels like you were speaking to me and to me alone, is one of the most healing compliments that I receive, and I'm very lucky to receive them quite often, but they never get old, because every new video I'm always like, is this too much? Does this make sense? Like, are people gonna get this? So it feels very nice to be seen. If you could visit any place in the world right now, where would it be? My fiance and I were meant to go to, where were we meant to go? Shit, I can't remember. We were meant to go on holiday next month, and now we had to cancel it because we were in the process of trying to buy a house. I actually can't remember where it was. Portugal? Maybe? Lake Garda? That's Italy. Oh, the Algarve coast. So that would have been nice. Talking about Italy, I would love to do more of Italy. I've only been there once and it was beautiful, but I definitely want to do more of Europe because I grew up in Africa, so a lot of my holidays were Africa based, which was beautiful. Would never take any of those back, it's stunning. I've just not done a lot of Europe, so anywhere in Europe right now. Greece, I'd love to go to Greece. I've never been there. Oh no, I lie, I've been to Greece, got engaged in Santorini, but I'd like to do other parts of Greece as well. And then the last one, what recent book, movie or TV show left a big mark on you? I watched this program, I think it's on ITV or BBC iPlayer or maybe Channel 4, one of them, I can't remember, called Life After Death, so DEAF, and it's about John Bishop and his son Joe Bishop, so the comedian John Bishop. And his son was diagnosed, he had an accident if I remember, like in his early teens, and it resulted in him basically starting to lose his hearing. And was the most heartwarming, and it's just amazing. Basically, as you can tell, I'm not very good at explaining things. John then decides that he's going to do his next comedy show in sign language. So it's this whole journey of him and his son learning sign language together and reflecting on their journey from diagnosis to where he is now. And like, you just see how they kind of have this massive realization as parents that trying to protect their son from being part of, almost accepting that he is now going to be deaf, and like trying to wrap him in this bubble, and like, almost trying to act as if, no, you're not part of that community, you're whatever. They realized they really left him in between these two communities of like fully abled, fully hearing people in the deaf community, and this idea that like, I'm almost like realizing that we don't need fixing as humans. I've done a really shit job at explaining that, but it's only like an hour long, and it's beautiful because you see the son really come into his own and kind of feel really accepted in this community and not afraid, and like that he doesn't belong, and like that he's not broken, he doesn't need fixing. So like, that speaks straight to my soul. So that was the best thing that I've watched recently. Yeah. And that's all of my questions. So I don't know, I said like these YouTube videos, I have no idea what I'm doing, which is kind of part of the fun. Like, what if I just give myself the permission to not have a fucking clue what I'm doing, and to be more unscripted and just let myself speak in a different way? Like, these do feel like a new chapter of what feels really healing in making it safer and safer to be seen as myself. So anyway, if there is any specific type of content you want to see from me, anything you want me to answer, that might be fun. Would you like a Q&A, or just if there's things that you want me to do videos on, let me know in the comments. Yeah, okay. If you made it this far, thanks for watching. Mwah.